hour of Good evening and welcome to the FE Bar. Formula E is back And what an incredible race we had. I'm your host again for this evening, Jack Maynard, and alongside me is Jack Pickering. It was a crazy race in Sao Paulo with Attack Charge taking center stage with how powerful it was. Mitch Evans made it from last to first. The dream happened after an incident-packed race which saw 2 red flags, one caused by pole sitter Pascal Wehrlein going upside down after contact with Nick Cassidy. Remember, we have loads to talk about tonight and we can't do this show without you. So get onto our Discord, !Discord in chat. Also, please remember to hit that like and subscribe button. We're very much looking forward to you coming on. And this is the only Formula E fan channel that is around. So make sure you come and join. Pico, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I've been better, but I'm
laying
fine.
the coat.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah, because we at Formula Rezone are unbiased, because that's what professional journalists are. We don't have central heating right now. We don't have any heating. And what a great month for that to go down. Love that. So I put on
pain.
all
I know the pain of no central heating. I know.
Yeah. So yeah, I've put all the layers on tonight, and yeah. But yeah, we will go on through this. I know that I've got a hot dinner that's just being prepared right now. I was preparing it, and then it hit 8 o'clock, and I got my brother to take over. So yeah, I'll go have it during the break a little bit later on.
Yeah, we'll have a couple of breaks. So again, it's a packed show, and as I said, we can't do this show without you. So please make sure ! Discord in chat if you can, and that should bring up the Discord link if you're not part of our Discord. Please come join it. Obviously, we've got a lot to talk about. But how was your weekend, first and foremost? Because it was probably the first weekend where I was in a different country whilst the race was happening. I can't remember if that's actually happened for me. I don't know what you were busy with football, I think.
Well, I was supposed to be heading down to Plymouth.
Oh, I got
it got cancelled on Friday evening, and yeah. However, you would have thought, because we've been through this whole Valencia Madrid fiasco before. How I booked some stuff for. So I booked because I was going to be the first one to arrive in Valencia. I booked a non-refundable hotel on the Monday before flying out, and then obviously everything happened on Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, and then Valencia got cancelled. So I lost a non-refundable hotel. So it wouldn't. So I learned my lesson, and I made sure that I definitely didn't buy a non-refundable hotel to stay at on Saturday night. I've definitely learnt my lesson now.
Okay.
Because I did it again.
No, the fingers crossed. Oh yeah. That's good thing. Good thing that you've done that.
I booked a non-refundable hotel in Bridgewater, which is halfway back from Plymouth, because I was because I thought, yeah, I'd stay there, and then because driving all the way down to Plymouth from Oxford then back again in one day was going to be too much. So I thought, get a hotel for me and my mate to stay in. We got it like halfway back because I was in London yesterday, so I needed to make sure that I got back.
You were in London yesterday? I wasn't in London yesterday. I was in Belgium, so I couldn't have come and seen you.
But yeah,
I had a great weekend.
Yeah,
I managed to fit the Formula racing, although it was the worst stream ever. It seemed like I managed to find it on the Discord on a Discord server. But the stream was dodgy.
I texted you a stream. It was never
that stream went out during the race. I started with that stream and it went out, and I was and now I needed to find it. Stopped after 5 laps, and then I ended up on the official Formula E Discord. They had the race on, but then towards the end that became stop start, and then so I had no idea. I was eating steak.
To be fair, the race by the end of it was stop start as well.
Yeah. So and that stream was stop start, but obviously let's get into it because we got to talk Mitch Evans. I've watched that race back now, and I was watching it live, and I still don't know how he won that race. I know how he won that race, but I don't know how he got into that position to win that race, and it just showed you how crazy Formula E was. So if we take a step back for 2 seconds, because I've gone back and I had a bit of a deeper look, but from watching it back, I still couldn't believe he did it. And even after that second red flag, right, he was 10th. So he started that race 10th. Then on the restart jumped to P8, but obviously Jaguar still had the attack mode, and the attack mode being as important as it was, and how incredible it was for the race. And I think that sets up the season in terms of how attack charge is going to be incredibly sort of strategic, as in the most strategic it may have ever been in the history of Formula E, in the history of attack charge, because it was absolutely crazy how attack charge changed that race. And because for me, they had both Cassidy and Evans had that attack charge, I don't think, even though Evans won, I don't think we got a representative of what the season is going to look like, because it was one of those races where if you played your cards at the right time, and that was by saving that attack charge till right at the end and banking on safety cars, that you'd win the race. And that's how Evans has managed to win this race.
This is, so we knew that the attack mode was going to be super powerful this year, and this was the sort of first, obviously with it being the first race, it's the first real time that we've seen how powerful it really is. And my word, like, strap in, because this season's going to be absolutely chaotic. It really is. Like people called like the attack mode when it was first brought in a bit like the star on Mario Kart. Now it really is the star, because the way that you can accelerate out corners in 4-wheel drive compared to 2-wheel drive, the 2-wheel drive cars do not have a chance. And I think it was very much a learning point from a lot of the teams this weekend, that you want to use the attack mode later in the race now, and risk and yeah, you have to risk the safety car. So we won't see them taking it ridiculously late. I remember, I think it was a couple of years ago in Rome, Mitch Evans took attack mode really, really late on and only just used it out.
Well, remember, Buemi got disqualified in London a couple of seasons ago.
Yes,
because he didn't get disqualified. He had to drive, and he had to create that gap. Yeah. So remember, that gap happened because he had to try and finish the attack mode before he crossed the line.
Yeah.
Right?
I think someone got penalised for it in Diriyah, I want to say, a few years ago. But I want to say it was Sam, but I might be wrong.
No, so attack. I think going early is a mistake. I think go early if you need to go early in order to get up through the field, and if you need to, but then you've got to hold on to that last one for dear life, because effectively, the reason why Nick Cassidy didn't win that race, I know he managed to fall behind a little bit, is he took his attack mode too early. If he took his attack mode a bit later, who knows? Maybe that crash with Verline and Cassidy doesn't happen. He blitzes through the field, and if Cassidy and Evans took it at the same time when Evans took his attack mode, they could have walked out with a 1-2, and Cassidy could have won the race.
I'll be brutally honest. I haven't seen the incident between Cassidy and Verline. I thought, right, okay, I'm really hungry. Fern's just back with the Dominoes. I'm just going to run back and pick that up. And I came back upstairs, and it was literally about a second after it happened.
You can't take your eyes off Formula E, mate. No, you should have learned that by now.
No, I thought, right, I'll just have the wedgies. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then and then I had the Dominoes. If you wanted to know my order, it is in the Discord. Because someone asked me for my order. If you scroll back to Saturday, I wrote the order in chat. So, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I think it was a great race. It was an interesting race. I don't know what it's going to look like if we do have Peloton style races, and how that will affect things if we get to those types of races this season. But from an outset, I think Sao Paulo is an absolute brilliant track for Formula E. I think this could be a track that Formula E now needs to keep hold of and go, you know what, right? This is one of the good ones, right? We can't lose this one. We got to try and keep this one on the calendar for as long as possible, because it just generates exciting racing each time we've been. So I think we want to keep hold of this one for as much as possible. Yeah, sorry. What we'll do then is we might as well hear from Mitch Evans, because Mitch Evans, he spoke to Formula E. I don't know who the person is actually, and Formula E did not say who the interview was, and I've never heard him before. So someone new for Formula E, and I have no idea who it is. So thank you for them. It wasn't Katie Fairman, because I know Katie Fairman does these, but it wasn't Katie. It was a guy. So we're going to say thank these interviews courtesy of Formula E from the Media Pen. So let's hear from Mitch Evans now.
So Mitch, we were trying to follow that on social media for ourselves. It was hard enough. So racing must have been something else. I mean, talk us through that race, just not just through your own eyes, but just what was going on out there. It's crazy.
Oh, honestly, very hard to digest that one. Obviously starting from the last, I saw quite a bit. But I had an amazing first lap, first 2 laps. I made 10 places, so that really changed the dynamic of my race. But yeah, once obviously I think it was Nick that kicked off the attack mode, the first attack mode, and we then start to see how powerful that thing was. It was quite surprising, and then I was around him, and then all of a sudden he was in the lead. So yeah, that was like, okay, you have to use this wisely, because it's there's so much benefit of using it. So I was just trying to be smart with that. I was good on energy, but obviously the 2 interruptions really. They did change the dynamic, but I was always kind of on the good side of it, because my energy, my energy state was always quite good. Obviously, it's good to see Pascal walk away from that nasty crash. But yeah, it was all about timing that second attack well, and then at the end with Antonio, it was really tight to hang on to it, because the energy, we still had to do quite a bit of management of energy in the last few laps. So him being in my toe, he could have easily got a buffer on me, and it was tight. It was like, if the target was any lower, I would have probably struggled to hang on to that. So, but yeah, just a wild one. Very hard to even understand, because one minute I was like up in the top 4, and then I was back down to P12, and then I was in the lead. So yeah, crazy.
Obviously, it's all about winning races, but breaking records is nice as well. See, today starting in the back, P22, first driver in the history of Formula E to do that.
Is it a record?
New record, yeah. So
nice.
Lucas P15 before. So when did you realise that was going to happen? What was the sort of lap time you thought, I'm going to get this?
Oh, literally out of the last lap, at the last corner of the last lap. Like, it wasn't like literally a corner before. I could have lost it like I did last year, but in a different way. Like, it was so tight on energy. So honestly, I knew I had it, coming onto the main straight for the last time. Before that, it was like, which way is this going to go? So if the tag was a touch higher, I would have been like really confident. But it was like really on the limit. It was honestly quite uncomfortable. So just got it done, and nice to get that 25 points straight away.
And just a note about Sao Paulo, obviously 2 out of 3. Looking forward to next year.
Should have been 3 out of 3, which still hurts. But it's been a good place to me. So it wasn't so calm this morning during qualifying, but we just pulled off something pretty special. So yeah, pretty happy.
So that was the thoughts of Mitch Evans there. Moving on, we're going to move on. Before we take some calls, I want to talk Taylor Barnard, because obviously Antonio Felix da Costa, he crossed the line in second, but Taylor Barnard gets his first podium, and this is kind of sums up how crazy that race was. He, along with all the Nissan drivers, right, and Bug as well, because we're going to talk about Oliver Rowland, but we're going to talk about Oliver Rowland a little bit later on in the show. But Bird, Nato, Barnard and Rowland all got a drive-through penalty for an overspeed, but Bird and Barnard had that drive-through and still came through to finish in 3rd and 4th, and they benefited through late attack modes, and they saved the highest amount of energy. So I think they banked after their first drive-through for a safety car. They got that safety car, and then they managed to use it with the attack modes to perfection. And Barnard, in that final 4-lap shootout, there was an actual chance of him winning that race. But as Lotterer said quite rightly in commentary, it was pretty much a flat-out race, so therefore for Barnard, unlikely. But he had the highest amount of energy, so if he wanted to, and if he could have used it, who knows, he could have won that race.
It's the same as Casti in Hyderabad when we went there a few years ago. Because Casti had we went on to the final lap. Casti had 5%, Jev had 0.5, but because it was basically flat out at that point, meant nothing, and Jev was able to cruise around to the finish, and so yeah, it's yeah, they should have, arguably they could have, they could and should have gone earlier, for that, in terms of using the battery, but yeah, it was Taylor's first proper race, so he's still learning, and I mean, like, the McLaren team, yeah, they rose like a phoenix out of the embers of the old Merc team, but there's yeah, they're still a fairly new team. They're only what, 3-4 years old now, and then and so yeah, they've only had one win under their belt, and it was at this circuit 9 months ago.
Yeah, indeed. And we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but it was a stinker for Nissan, right? It was, you don't want that, to have all your cars have a power overuse. Like, it was just a pure software glitch, and these teething problems happen in the first race, right? And you have to be, I'd not say ready for them, but you've got to be as best prepared as possible. And when, and we all knew, right? We all knew if they're going to get it, Roland's going to get it, right? And lo and behold, Roland gets it. And we'll, as I said, we'll talk about that there. But in terms of, for Nissan, terrible, but for McLaren to recover it, because NATO didn't recover it as well. Obviously it was too late.
He didn't have attack mode.
Yeah, and obviously
the only reason McLaren got podium 3rd and 4th on Saturday was because they played the attack mode cards fantastically well, and it fell into their hands. That's why they got 3-4. They would not have been 3-4 if it weren't for the 2 red flags.
Okay, right, so let's hear from Taylor Barnard after the race, again speaking to Formula E.
First of all, Taylor, congratulations. It was really special scenes at the end. Everyone seemed genuinely happy for you. Another record. So, youngest podium sitter ever in Formula E. How does that feel?
It feels great. Obviously, the youngest point scorer was already pretty nice. To be the youngest podium sitter was even better. I think now my target is firmly set on being the youngest race winner. I think the team have done a great job this weekend, and the Nissan powertrain seems to be pretty strong, so I don't think that's unrealistic. But I've set myself a high bar for the rest of the season.
And you and Sam seem to work really well together there, so just talk us through that relationship and how that played out for the race.
I think Neil McLaren do a great job at bringing in new drivers and a young driver into such an environment which feels like a family. It's really enjoyable to work with everyone. It's really enjoyable to just to be there. To have someone like Sam, which is extremely experienced and well known in Formula E, to have him supporting me and to be so friendly towards me it's really great, and I hope we can continue this friendship and this competitiveness into the rest of the season.
And overall, the package looks really good this season. Although it's early days, but really good time for you and Sam today. Oliver looked really good at times. Norman, fastest lap. Just talk us through how that package in general was looking good.
Yeah, obviously we struggled in qualifying, but it was just us. Nissan seems pretty strong, so as a team we still have a lot to work on, but I think the main thing is that the powertrain looks really strong. It's just good for us as a team. A lot to work on, a lot to improve still, but to walk away with the points that we have and the improvement gap that we still need to make, I think it's looking good.
Brilliant. Thanks very much. Congratulations.
And we're back as the thing wants to play Taylor twice, but no, it won't play Taylor twice. But yeah, really brilliant there from Taylor and so forth. So it'd be really interesting to see how he does. But again, it just shows how powerful attack mode is. But it'd be interesting to see when we get to tracks like London. I know London's a long way away, but London's such a special track, to see how powerful the attack mode can be round tracks, and maybe Monaco as well. But obviously with the cars being a bit smaller, I reckon Monaco down the tunnel will be seeing quite a lot of overtakes, and down into the chicane, I reckon we'll get a couple there. But again, the attack mode might have to be played a bit more differently in those races. But in terms of the wider tracks, when we go to Shanghai and so forth, like, unreal how attack mode could be one car. There could be literally like a sitting duck. That's how I see it. It could be like in some races there could be a car that's a sitting duck. There could be 4 cars behind. They were a sitting duck, I know, but like what I'm imagining is that on that start-finish straight in Shanghai, I was thinking the long back straight, but then we don't use the long back straight. But I'm thinking on the start-finish straight is that you're going to get like 4 wide going into turn 1, and that person's in the middle and just 2 cars going past him. I think it could be... I know, but this time, with the power, you just be like, you're there, do, and then boosh, all these cars come past. I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm looking forward to seeing how it happens. Let's get some calls in. So let's go to Nikki. Let's give Nikki a buzz. Nikki, welcome to the FE Bar. How are you? Oh, Nikki. Hello, how are you? Very good, very good, very good. Oh, yes. Okay. I don't... Well, obvious reasons you haven't slept. You've been celebrating that much. Is like, like, how much alcohol have you had? What are you doing then? How you celebrate for 48 hours? You're already on, but...
We should also credit Sam to Taylor's podium, in my opinion.
Okay. Oh!
So,
Nikki, welcome to the FE Bar. You can say your point again. My apologies. A
Right.
bit of a.
I saw that it was off me, and I didn't care because we were bringing Nikki on. But when people can't hear Nikki,
Yeah, that's the point.
there's literally no point
it's
to this show.
It's
just
Jack.
Jack
It's just
rambling.
Jack. It's just me. Apologies.
Stop being a pain.
Apologies. I must have double clicked on the bar by mistake. Sorry, Nikki. Say your point again.
What I want to say first is I think it wasn't just Taylor that had the good drive yesterday. It was also Sam, because Sam was sort of encouraging him and things like that. So basically, McLaren worked as a team on Saturday.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Like also the point I want to try and make is that they use their attack modes very efficiently.
Yes, they did. They did indeed. And it was the key, because obviously them getting the drive-through penalties, and normally in motorsport when you get those drive-through penalties, it's not, you're not going to come back. And the way that they can, obviously Formula E you can come back, because one, you've got the safety cars, and then obviously with the attack mode, you can. And it turned out that saving your attack mode was pure brilliance.
Oh, McLaren never proved of that.
race.
If you save it to the middle or the end of the race, it's worked this time. I think there's going to be more of that, and it's going to make it more exciting.
Oh yeah, I think so too. Go on.
But I reckon so we'll see in the next race. More people will use the later point, and then it won't make that much of a difference. So people will start using it earlier, and then people start using it later again. And I think it's just going to swing over the course of the season. I think
that will also be
There
interesting.
will be no set point where it's perfect to take attack mode, and that's what I'm. Yeah, that's what I'm
makes it exciting. I'm also looking forward to it if they decide to bring it in. I don't know if they are or not. Is when they bring tap charging as well as using the attack mode.
They will be bringing that in. The first one will be in Jeddah. It will be only on double headers and only in the second race of the double header.
I'm very interested to see how that works. I really
as well as what's happened as well.
I've seen it a couple of times. They come into the pits, they plug it in the back, they wait 30 seconds.
Yep.
It's sort of a bit of a light show, so it flashes white, and then it keeps on getting faster and faster, and when it goes solid white, they pull it out and off it goes. That's how it works.
It's a minimum of 36 seconds, I think, right? 100. I think that's what it, or 34.
It's
around
like
that. It's around that. But yeah, I am very much interested to see how the races change, because obviously they're not going to be 45 minutes and how many more extra laps. So it'd be very interesting to see how many extra laps we do at Jeddah when we get to the pit boost than we did on the Saturday race, to compensate the 10% battery power that they will recharge in that 36 seconds. And when you think about it, 36 seconds, 10%, if it is 10% in 36 seconds, that's pretty impressive, right? That's pretty impressive in terms of charging.
Which is a complete U-turn from like what you were like earlier in the year when they were they're only charging 10%. I want them to charge all the way up.
But actually, when I think about it, like 36 seconds, 10% is like, if you did that, that's what, 3.5 minutes till full blast. Like
Yeah.
it's not too bad. Like 3.5 minutes waiting around is not too bad. I know, but I was like, what's 10% gonna do? Like 2 laps, like so or 2 to 3 laps.
So,
but that'll be interesting to see. Yeah, it'll be about that, won't it? 2 to 3
and
laps.
also I like the 4-wheel drive as well. That sort of interests me as well.
Yeah. No, I do. I think
it's actually given attack mode more of a meaning. Like the last couple of years,
Yes, exactly.
we've seen like people try and get rid of attack mode, like because it's just them wasting more energy. But now this year, it properly means something, which is good.
It means something. Let's take the example of McLaren in this race for an example.
Yeah.
No,
Mitch as well. It won Mitch the race.
It won Mitch the race and also gave McLaren valuable points. Okay, you could argue that if the accident between Nick and Cassidy hadn't happened, that it wouldn't have been 3rd and 4th. It would have been probably 6th, 7th, or 8th and 9th. But it still would have been valuable points for the team.
From where they were beforehand, because obviously they had to say that drive through because the power overused, and they were running like 14th, 15th, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
To finish 6th and 7th, they would have taken it. To finish 3rd and 4th, even more so.
Yeah. And I think as well, the team dynamic as well has been absolutely brilliant. I mean, I heard the whole video thing with Sam, like, really encouraging Taylor to go for it. And I think it's a pairing that could work very well this year.
It could work very well, but then it could also be disastrous because at the same time, at this precise moment, obviously Taylor had the advantage. He had the attack mode and he had the usable energy, right? But at some point, if this Nissan looked incredibly quick, both cars, right, under Roland especially, and we're going to talk about Roland a little bit in the second hour, but if they are fighting for race wins, that's when it becomes tricky, right? And at this precise moment, they're playing for the team because you either finish 3rd or 4th, or you've got the best chance of winning, so you go. So in that sense, it made sense. But if Taylor and Sam are fighting for the lead, they're not going to be friends. They're going to fight each other.
No, of course not. They're competitive drivers. But what I'm saying is, when they need to work as a team, I think they will work as a team.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. But
I think
hopefully their relationships don't get fractured if they are a competitive team. Because as Taylor said, like he says, this car's competitive, therefore they've got a chance of winning races this season. And when you start fighting for a championship, gloves are off.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. Right.
No,
go on, Nikki.
Just look at McLaren in Formula One. It's like that in that situation, And it's going to be the same between all the teams in Formula E, isn't it? It's for whoever wins, basically.
Indeed. Nikki, we're out of time. Thank you so much.
No problem, mate.
Thank you so much for coming on.
No problem.
We will catch you in a second. Right. We're going to do something.
No problem.
We're going to do something a little bit new. Not done before. This time, a new segment, Mr. Pico. It's time for no Googling. It's time for no Googling. Part 1, if there isn't. No Googling. Quiz question, because we're going to go for a break, but we're going to give a quick question. We're going to go for a quick break, and then we're going to continue.
This is like, is this your idea of like the countdown tea time teaser sort of thing?
Right? So it's no Googling. So effectively, no Googling. We're going to ask you a question. So I'm going to play the little theme tune that goes with it. Well, it's not a theme tune. It's just a little bit of music. So, welcome to No Googling Part 1. Yeah, no, it's a bit like that. The question is, so Taylor Barnard was obviously the youngest driver to be on the podium. So who was the youngest driver before Taylor Barnard to score a podium? So you can write your answer in chat, and then we'll reveal the answer after this short break. So we'll see you in a second. And we are back. Sorry for the extended period of delay. I've just given my co-host the 2 seconds to just digest whatever he's just eaten. Mexican food he's just had. I had you muted just so you could have give yourselves 2 seconds. So sorry for the extended break. We are trying to rattle through as many calls as possible over the next couple of
That's my
minutes.
fault.
But I've brought in Joshua Birch, and Joshua Birch, obviously from JB Motorsports, who commentated on the race with our very own Edward Hunter, who was managing the waiting room. Joshua, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, pleasure. Evening, chaps. We're back.
We are back.
Season.
We are back. We are back. And by the way, the answer to the no Googling question, well done to some of you. It was Daniel Apt. Daniel Apt was the youngest person, 22 years, 101 days, and he finished third in the Miami E-Prix. Yes, Maximilian Gunther was the second on the list. Some people put Maximilian Gunther. He was the second.
Max was going to be my option.
Yeah, but Josh, what a race! Yes. First and foremost, like. What did you make of it all? And obviously as a commentator, commentating on it, like with the attack charge and people coming through, like how did you find it?
Challenging, to be fair. I sort of stood there in the commentary box and I thought at one point, at around about 12 laps in, I thought, my God, this is a lot more high pace than I remember it being. I was struggling to breathe at one point. Very good race. I like the fact how, yes, it was Peloton style-esque in terms of they're all running closely together.
Yep.
But it wasn't in the style of, they're all saving battery.
Yeah.
Because they were pushing. And I like that. It's given us a bit more confidence that we are going to have some good, close, hard racing this year. I said in commentary, I'm excited to see how this pit stop charge, or whatever they're going to call it at the end. Pit boost. Right.
Sounds dreadful.
It was attack charge. I prefer attack charge over pit boost.
Attack charge sounds so much
but
better
maybe it's too close to attack charge. Attack mode, and attack charge is a bit similar. I just did it right now.
No, you did it in Seg 1 as well.
There you go. So maybe it's a good thing that they changed it to pit boost, and I've just now got to get the hang of it.
Yeah, but they should have called it recharge and put one of those little dashes in it as well. They could have made like a Formula E out of it. But as I'm excited to see how that works on the doubleheader weekends in race 2, because I want to see a direct comparison to how a race is without it, with it, because I think we're going to see those doubleheader races as like they are going to be insane to try and follow. So I'm looking forward to that. In terms of the overall action, I thought it gave the element of first day back at school, very much so. There was a couple of you don't need to go for that move. It's only round 1. I think the whole Cassidy dive bombing at 4 with Verline and Goethe.
Gunther,
was a bit Gunther, yeah. That was all sorry, Ollie Goethe was F2. I'm going all over this. But with Gunther and all that, that was not needed, and it was a frightening accident. I'm glad he walked away from that.
I was struggling.
It was just insane.
That Gunther wasn't in a blue car. I was so used to Gunther being in a blue car, and when I saw him in a black, it just didn't compute that was Maximilian Gunther. That was my first day back at school moment.
It took me a while.
Yeah,
I had the list. I was holding the entry list in my hands during the commentary, just double checking myself.
Yeah, that's always a challenge.
But I must say commendations to Ben Edwards. I thought he handled that really well. I watched it back after we did our commentary, and I thought, what a stellar performance. And for a guy who comes in not as the main commentator as well, it just shows how great an experienced chap Ben is. He handled that fantastically, and long may he fill in for Tom Brooks whenever he's not around.
Yeah, no, 100%. Ben's good.
Unless you get the call, obviously.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be diplomatic, but unless I get the call, yeah. I mean, I have a pass now. Does that help? I'm coming to London. Fingers crossed.
Nice, fingers crossed. No. It'd be good to see you there.
Well, yeah, obviously.
I mean,
obviously, I did sort of pop in on the stream just to see how you guys were coping with having to fill the extra hour.
Oh God!
How was that?
Well, have you ever been to a concert and screamed for an encore at the end, and then they come out and deliver a lackluster song. Like they don't do the number one, they come out and sing their new single that nobody likes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how it felt covering that hour. Brand new season, people watching for the first time, and it was literally, what the hell do we talk about for this red flag? The first one, actually, Will Wood, who's at was it Race Fans now? Yeah. He texted me and said, great call on the fact that the red car would be an instant red flag.
Yeah.
As soon as I heard that, I'm sure you two did as well.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I was thinking that as well, because
You can't touch the car.
you can't touch the car. There's no way that they can recover that. You have to stop the race.
So
instant red flag.
Yeah, so it's one of those, as they said in commentary, one of those rare occurrences.
I don't think in 10 years we've ever had something.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever happened before. It's the first time it's ever happened.
No, I remember we nearly had it once. Hong Kong season 3 shakedown. Who was it? It came out. It was one of the.
That's good knowledge. That's good knowledge to be fed to know from a shakedown session, because they're hard enough to follow as it is.
Yeah,
those
one of the EDAMs came and stopped at the side of the circuit, and he said it was red, but then I think they got it going again. So it was like a false red, something like that. But that's the only time I remember it happening. Another interesting fact for you here: became the second Formula E season opener to get red flagged. The first being our first ever red flag, Hong Kong season 4.
Yep.
When John O'Byrne decided to become a roadblock.
Yep.
And it joined London 23, both races, as the only races to have double red flags. So, nice little stats that I came up with.
Lovely.
And Jess got one too, actually. But yeah.
Perfect.
But yeah, I loved the whole action, and yeah, 2 hours though for an E3. We nearly hit the time limit. That's why we didn't have a standing start.
Yeah, it was incredible. Last thing, just before what do you think we learned from that first race? For you, what do you think we learned, if anything?
Tyres are too soft, and that's going to be a worry. The hand-cooked tyres, the drivers are saying that they're too soft. They've got to sort of toughen those up a bit as they can throughout the season.
Yep.
These new cars are definitely... It's more critical now to be in attack mode, more than ever. If you go into attack mode, you are going to be light years ahead of everybody else with that 4-wheel drive.
Yep.
A start is critical because of 4-wheel drive.
Yep.
So that's the best thing. So 4-wheel drive, we're choosing that time to be right. And the other thing we've learned is these cars are incredibly projectile.
Yep.
That's the scary thing as well. How easily they can go over.
Yeah. Oh, and what do you mean with the 350 limit, or in just how quickly they get to full power? As soon as the attack mode happens, it's like it's instantaneous. How instantaneous it is.
And I'm excited to see what it's going to be like in Mexico. I think it'll liven Mexico up for sure.
Yeah, Mexico.
Because
even though it's been the season opener, it has been. Yeah, it's been one
dull.
of the races.
Yeah.
Perfect. Right,
So,
Josh, I've got to leave you there. Thank you so much for coming on, though. Love the work that you're doing as well. Big fan.
Love yours too. Yeah, big fan here.
You're a big fan. Love it. Spread the love, right? Spread the love. And hopefully we'll talk to you again in the new year, or hopefully we'll talk between the new year. But hopefully talk to you again after Mexico.
Indeed, absolutely. Merry Christmas, guys. Merry Christmas everybody.
Indeed. And we'll
and have a great one.
Okay.
Yeah, see you soon. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
Cheers, Josh.
Right, let's get Blake in. Blake!
Oh!
That sounded like an engine to me. A motorsport engine. He's driving around.
That was a V10.
It was a V10.
Oh,
graced us with a V10.
And
you wear headphones.
and fellas, all I can say, my microphone is absolutely appalling. I'm sorry.
Your microphone's really good, to be fair.
It sounds fine, mate. Do not worry.
When you speak, you're so clear, it's unbelievable. But yeah,
okay.
sorry, headphone users.
I'm R.I.P. headphone users.
R.I.P.
Sorry
yeah,
about
no,
that.
that was.
Nothing we could do. We just drag people from the waiting room. God knows what
We
their
just-
wife's picking
Andra,
up.
get the pacemaker started.
Welcome to the
Okay.
FE Bar. What would you like to talk about before we
I
get to
wa- I
Nick
wanna-
at 9?
I want to talk about Taylor Barnard.
Go on.
I mean, McLaren played the strategy perfectly. When I was watching the race, I was like, surely they're definitely gonna gamble on a safety car or something. And then 2 red flags happened, and they honestly, great strategy by McLaren and Taylor Barnard taking his first podium in FE. And I would say that's a good first race for McLaren. If to be fair.
I was a bit disappointed with them in qualifying. I don't know about you. Like, for me, like, Roland did bits, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if we just have high expectations, but if that Nissan powertrain's good, right, then I don't know. I've got high expectations of Taylor and I've got high expectations of Sam. So, they didn't get into the duels. But they managed to make the strategy work out. And maybe that's just an argument that the duels aren't as important because basically Mitch Evans came from last to win the race. So maybe the duels aren't important. But if Roland is getting in those duels and being as quick as Oliver Roland is, then I want to see Taylor in there and I want to see Sam in there. I don't know about you.
I want to see. I think Nissan powertrains, like for McLaren and Nissan, have definitely a potential. But however, I would like to say they did overextend. Was it twice?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you have to remember they have to remember both of them had a drive-through penalty as well.
Yeah, I don't know what's causing it, but if they just find a way to just iron that out for the next race, and then I think everything could be fine. I said I could, quote unquote, could be fine. So, you know.
Well, they've got to sort it out for Mexico because it's a software glitch.
I think it should be fine for Mexico because from what it's always been in the past, it's always been going over a bump or something like that, and it's caused the power to shoot up over
it screamed software because all cars had it. It screamed software glitch.
Yeah,
so they would have got enough data.
Being a smooth Formula One circuit, it should be all right.
Yeah,
but
again, it doesn't quite mean anything in terms of, who knows? If it is a software glitch, it could just happen again. It might not be anything to do with the road surface. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But that could be something that... But in terms of McLaren, though, definitely a good recovery from the drive-through. Good strategy. And we're now thinking, as we're saying, and I think you quite rightly pointed out earlier, and I think Nikki said the same, in terms of... the attack mode, right? It looks good at the moment to be the last one to take it, effectively, to take it as close and as the last person to take it, which might be interesting seeing what people then do in Mexico. Do people wait? And is it just in everyone taking it at the same time? Because it's too powerful to take it at random points. Because it felt like everyone took it normally in that race for me, as in like from what we've seen, and then because people held back and they saw how powerful it was, like Nick Cassidy could have won, Mitch Evans could have won, it got McLaren those podiums and fourth place finishes, that maybe it might be a case of if he takes attack mode, you take attack mode with him, or it might be if they don't take it, you take it, but they're waiting as late as possible in order to get it. So we might see just 6, 7 or 8 cars eventually just take attack mode. That could be one issue that comes with it. I don't know what you think about that, Blake.
It's good that attack mode now work, but however, I don't know what the hell is going to happen because like rightfully you said, is that it honestly could be like a massive train going into an attack mode zone, and it honestly could be dangerous because massive parked cars in one line trying to take attack mode, and you don't know if and obviously Formula E don't have brake lights, so you don't know if they're stopping or keeping on going. So like it's hard situation at the moment. It's good that attack mode works, but at the moment it needs a game development update. It just needs to be nerfed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Because at this precise moment, people didn't really know how to use it in that race, but they're all clotting on very quickly, and that's why actually, when thinking about it, it may be good, or maybe we might just see everybody and their mum take attack mode at the same time, in order to them not to basically lose out in terms of them being overtaken. If everybody takes it, then you're not gonna lose out, and maybe finding it as strategic might be a bit of a challenge. In future races, but we'll have to see how that develops. Blake, though, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Good luck to Dennis's mum as well.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it is time. Go on.
Jack, it's 9 o'clock.
I know it's 9 o'clock. That means it's time for Nick. It's time for Nick at 9. But before we get to Nick at 9, before we bring him in, it is Nick at 9. But we're going to take 1 minute break so we can get him in and just make sure he's okay. It's time for No Googling Part 2. So,
on that sultry music.
It's on again. Yeah. Sultry, No Googling Part 2. So the first question was, who was the youngest? This time, it's who is the oldest driver to have ever scored a podium. Okay, so your results to that in a second. We'll be back. And we are live with Mr. Nick Golding at 9. Let's get that lower third up there. Boom.
Are you actually doing it? Good.
Yeah, boom, it's there. Nick Golding gets there. Welcome, Nick. First and foremost, mate, how was Sao Paulo?
Sao Paulo it was hot, it was humid. The Thursday, I've never seen rain quite like it. It was chaotic, it was mental, it was dramatic, it was scary, it was terrifying. It was exhausting. I mean, any other words I can't think of? I think the only one that comes to mind is, thank the Lord we have the Halo.
Thank the Lord we have the Halo as well. Right, the answer to the no Googling, I've got to remember to do the no Googling part answers. So I'm playing this new segment and I'm forgetting the answers. The answer was, well done, Caterham F1. It was Stefan Sarazan at 41
where's
years.
Where's Lucas on the list?
200, well, he's I can't. I don't have the list up right now,
Oh,
and I
you're
can't go
rubbish.
and get it. But
Well,
I can go and maybe find it in a moment.
How
But
rubbish are you?
well, well, it doesn't. Wait, Lucas isn't even that old. Like,
He's over 40.
well, he's not over. He's not there. I don't even think he's second. I can't remember. I have to have another look. But I just literally put who was number one. I literally put who's number one. Stefan Sarazan, 41 days and 41 years. Sorry, 41 days and 270 days. But I really want to talk about, because we saved this for the second hour and we've kind of saved this for you. I want to talk about Oliver Rowland and Nissan.
Okay.
I think Oliver Rowland is probably the most unluckiest Formula E driver at this precise moment, because again, what a weekend that man had.
Yeah.
And again, through no fault of his own, it's taken away from him.
I mean, yeah, it's a weird one because he timed his attack mode, his first one, really well, because the thing that the drivers have suddenly realised is attack mode now is it's more superior than it was in Gen 2, which is saying something. But the problem it causes now is we're going to see some really aggressive defending going forwards, because it's now track position's vital. And what Ollie did really, really well is he kept himself out of trouble, kept himself in that lead pack, so that once he then took his first attack mode, everybody around him had already used their first. He built that gap. He built, what was it? It was like a 4 or 5 second buffer at one point, which actually, would have been enough if it wasn't for all the stoppages for the others to take their second. He'd still have the lead. So, I mean, and then it was just one of those things with the Nissan. I'm assuming, given that it was obviously all 4 Nissan powertrains, we were umming and ahhing. We were speaking in the media centre. We wonder if it's actually to do with the start, because NATO, Barnard, and Bird all got theirs. Literally, the message came through on like the second lap.
Yeah.
And then Rowland's was not long after, obviously, the first restart.
Yeah.
So we're wondering whether actually it was a software glitch to the start potentially.
Good
point.
Because what's happening?
The
Because
first
what's
part
happening
over
now?
the line, isn't it? 350, and then it goes back to 250 or 300.
Yeah. So the thing is, though, is obviously where these cars are so much faster, they're obviously taking more speed into the first corner, and the braking zones it's changed completely. So, like I said, Nissan are obviously looking into it, doing an investigation. It's not been confirmed yet the actual cause, but there's quite a few of us who reckon actually it's to do with the start and going into turn 1, given just purely based on how quickly the notes came through from the stewards, basically on what laps it was.
Because for Birds and Netos and Barnards, it said lap 0. Like it said lap 0.
Exactly, which would suggest that it was probably potentially the wheel spin to go into their grid slot.
So the race hasn't even started, maybe.
No,
which would be lap 0.
Lap 0 is lap 1.
No, but what I mean is that
when they come round to complete lap 1, that is when lap 1 starts.
No.
Because I saw it on the graphic, I hated it.
I know, but what I mean is, from what Nick said there, is they said the wheel spin. So imagine when they do that little free push towards the they go from the free grid spots back to their grid spots. So I'm assuming what Nick has said that moment is what's causing the spike.
We wonder if it was either that or going into the first corner where everything's changed, because it was interesting, in particular with Ollie, for both restarts when he was on the front row. He had the best start by a mile, which was interesting. Did it twice. But it's I think it's one of those things that there's a lot of things that, Sao Paulo was one of the. I called it one of the most dramatic races in FE history. It was just absolute
chaos. But that's every Formula E race, mate.
Use.
It's chaos. Every Formula race is chaos. Look at Portland, the first one. Chaos.
The thing is, this is. I know it's Gen 3 Evo, Gen 3.5, whatever you want to call it, but it is effectively the step up in technology is so big. It is effectively a whole new era. Yep. These are cars which are already 3 seconds faster with very, very little data behind them.
Yep.
Imagine, it wouldn't surprise me if we're 4 or 5 seconds quicker than the Gen 3 times when we get to Sao Paulo next season, when the teams have got all that data underneath them. Because actually, ultimately, in my eyes, the best package didn't even win. Jaguar, I really don't think are
Well, that's
Jaguar got lucky. They had a good strategy, and the timings of the red flag went well.
That's what
The general feeling, the feeling in the paddock is the two best powertrains are the Porsche being the strongest,
Yep.
and then the Nissan.
Yep. Because that's
And
what
then-
I said
and-
from
and
the
then
start of the
Jaguar.
show, in terms of we didn't, because of the stoppages and because it came to luck and what you'd done in that race, that we didn't actually get a true pecking order, or we didn't actually see
Well,
the
yeah, and it's weird because, and the best example being McLaren, who, in all fairness, weren't actually having a very good weekend, and obviously had the drive-throughs, which ended up, and it's a controversial one, and some teams aren't happy.
Yep.
I won't say which teams, but I was having breakfast on the Sunday morning with two of the teams, and there's quite a few people are unhappy because McLaren have kind of found a bit of a loophole.
okay.
In that, obviously, they served the drive-through, and in doing
Yep.
so, obviously, were able to save energy, and they were well off the back of the pack. So they
Yep.
were simply just saving energy, and actually then completed one lap less when the second red flag happened. So because of that, they had, they still had an attack mode, about 6 minutes
Yep.
of attack mode to use, and on top of that, also had, I think Barnard at one point had like 8% more than other drivers.
He did, yes.
Which, and if we're being, bless him, if it was an experienced Formula E driver, they would have then won the race. It was simply because Barnard. Let's say it this way: if Barnard was Bird,
Yep.
then it would have been
could
a
have
win for
won.
Bird. If that makes sense. It was more a case of Barnard, understandably so, just wanted to play it safe. He's the youngest ever podium finisher. It was an opportunity which he could not believe would come to him. So. And even Sam understood himself why Taylor didn't go for it, because imagine if Taylor went for it and binned it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's lots of things to be learned, and I think, yeah,
I'm interested in what you said, right? So I want to pick up on it, because
Go
what
for it.
you said there, I don't think McLaren have done it. You said a loophole, but I don't think McLaren have done anything wrong. Dave played, I think, for a safety car. So Dave decided, right, we've had this drive-through penalty, we're at the back of the field, let's save some energy, pray for a safety car, and they got what they wanted, and from that were able to profit. So
but the thing is, though,
go on.
Sam in particular completed a lap less, which is why he was then sent around again.
Okay.
So there's some question marks, because it's quite clear that yes, the McLarens were then saving energy, but even though they were saving energy, to then suddenly be 7 to 8% up on everybody is a lot. So that there are a few teams who have looked at it and are thinking something's not right here, because even by reserving energy, that's a big margin to find.
But it's hard to police, though, because okay, they've on purpose, let's state, right?
Yeah.
On purpose, they've driven slowly. So let's say they're 3 seconds. I have to go back and have a look. Let's say they're 3 seconds off the pace of the race every lap, right? But they've made that decision to drive that slowly. So what are we going to say that you can't? Are we going to say that we can't drive 3 seconds off the pace?
Yeah, and this is the problem, because the thing that it's a hard one, because obviously it was all created by simply the race just being crazy. If it was a normal FE race, a normal FE race is still enough to make me go bald. But the problem here is effectively the drive-through penalty, the drive-through penalties, because they both got one. That effectively, in the end, I don't want to say got McLaren the 3-4, but actually, even Norman Nato, he'd gotten himself back up into 6th, I think. Or he finished 6th, and obviously he then got his penalty. So even he had a drive-through penalty. So that's all 3 drivers who had a drive-through penalty. Obviously, Ollie was a bit different because he had different problems, and obviously then basically ran out of energy. But those 3 drivers who had the early drive-through penalties all of a sudden had a massive advantage coming into the race, which a lot of the teams are looking at and thinking, hold on, that's not fair.
But I just think it's more circumstance. It's like, okay,
it is.
You get a drive for. I know for F1 is not. Let's say Max Verstappen, right? Let's go back 2 years, right? Gets a drive-through penalty. I've seen it. Look at Lewis Hamilton when he got Max Verstappen Silverstone 2021 when he crashed into Max and got the 10-second time penalty. But we all knew that he was going to come back through and win the race, and did, Lewis, and because the car was so brilliant compared to the others. And so even though you've got the penalty, like if the car's good enough, which the Nissan clearly is good enough, and two, when you get the safety cars and the repeat of a red flag and everything gets all jumbled up, it's like, well, it's like scoring a penalty. I don't know. It's like,
It's the thing is though, it's a weird one.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I agree.
Because yes, obviously, everything that unfolded in Sao Paulo obviously had a massive part to play in it, because it's not every day you're going to see a race as as dramatic as that. But again, it's just the whole thing of, quite clearly with these cars now, we saw in the last 2 years with Gen 3 that actually having a couple % more energy, obviously without looking at the obvious advantage, actually in terms of pace, you could defend against it.
Yep.
Now, even without being in attack mode, if you've got 2-3% up on somebody in front of you, it's gone back now to being what it was like in Gen 2. Well, that is a massive advantage, and then you add on top of that the attack mode, which, I mean, it's remarkable, isn't it? What's gone on. We've gone from 2 years of attack mode basically being something that drivers want to get rid of, and now it being something that drivers want to keep for as long as possible. And the things that the drivers loved it, they thought it was absolutely incredible because they've missed it, because now it's gone about, it's tactical again now. The drivers, it's not something that they want to use it, but they've got to use it at the right time, which is what we want to see, because actually the last 2 years they could have scrapped attack mode.
Really?
Exactly.
What the last 2 years, that was not on the game plan.
Yeah, the only couple of concerns is, I mean, speaking to Mitch Evans and asked a lot of the drivers, do you think now of attack mode seemingly gone from being worth nothing to now being, Mario Kart level of extreme? Is there any circuits coming up where actually that could be a problem? Just how much more power, how much more grip, how much more speed having that 4-wheel drive gives you over somebody who's got 2-wheel drive and only 300. And London's going to be a problem. This was speaking to a lot of the drivers were saying it's too early to tell. It's into the first time. Whereas Mitch was straight up, London's going to be an issue, because
I mentioned it earlier that London would be an issue.
London is so, and it's going to prove as well. Like, speaking to a few people, I said the Gen 4 car is going to be faster than a Formula 2 car, which is ridiculous on road legal tyres. That London, unless they make huge changes, there is no way I can see that staying on the calendar. That I'm having seen in person what happened in Sao Paulo. And the thing I want to point out as well, that I've seen some people saying it, Verline's crash had nothing to do with the circuit. That was simply a freak, bizarre accident. Because I've seen some people saying that the Sao Paulo circuit's unsafe and whatnot. Actually, it's a brilliant circuit. Yes, it's a little bit bumpy, but it's nowhere near as bumpy as it was a couple of years ago with the jump.
No.
London's going to be the big problem. Even Tokyo, actually, with that ramp there as well, and that not being the widest of circuits.
But even Monaco could be an issue.
Yeah.
But
Monaco will be fine.
I think it'll be fine. I think you got the tunnel is enough space. But you're not going to be seeing as many overtakes.
Anyway. Yeah, but that's in and it sounds silly what you'd expect from Monaco race.
Yeah.
And actually, the thing is that the drivers know that as well. The problem with London is, London is so one line. Whereas at least in RFE cars, there are a couple of lines you can take in Monaco. But actually, with London as well, it's simply because that's a bump. As soon as you go to the outside section, that's pretty bumpy as well. And there's just, we saw what happened in the Gen 3 cars and how close they run together, all the carnage, all the debris. Yeah. It genuinely worries me, because I don't think it's going to be safe in London. I'm
going to disagree with you there, politely.
Go for it.
I'm going to
go for it.
You know why? And I'll tell you why I disagree, right? Because at the end of the day, there's this word called patience, right? And
single.
Yeah, and I just think drivers are gonna. It's one of those tracks, right? And I'm not saying it's going to be unsafe with the attack charge, because it's attack mode. Sorry. In terms of, I think you can overtake in London, but there's only one place that you will overtake, and that's turn 1. And so you're just going to have to wait till turn 1 to get your move done. But that makes
whatever it is.
You're not going to do it turn 2, 3, 4. You might be lucky.
Building bit.
And the only other places where you overtake is coming out by the custom house station, going down towards the chicane. I reckon those are the 2 places where the overtakes will happen. You can't do it anywhere else.
The problem on that point though is these cars, and I'll be honest, I don't think the TV did it justice. These cars are so fast. It was, Emerson Fittipaldi was shocked, and that's saying something. That's the 2-time Formula 1 world champion who I had a lovely conversation with. He's stunned by the speed and how quickly these cars have gotten to the pace they are. That start-finish straight in London actually is not as long as you think compared to the likes of Sao Paulo.
Oh,
which
yes,
is probably
I know.
3 to 4 times the length.
But what
London,
we saw is them driving halfway down the straight and they're already past them. So I reckon by that you'll get a move down to turn 1.
By the start-finish line.
So, I reckon that's enough there. You'll end up getting past into turn 1.
The big difference being Sao Paulo, the corners are faster, they're wider, and the problem is going to be getting out of that final corner behind somebody who's only still in 2-wheel drive. It's like I said, we've got time to find out, but there's already a few drivers they're looking at London thinking that's going to be a problem.
Well, we'll have to find out.
I think it'll be interesting, but I think we might actually see some overtaking in London, which is more than
the Saturday race in London last season. I still put my hands up and saying that was one of the best races in Formula E. Not like history, but that season, it was one of the better races.
With attack mode now, Formula E has changed. It's a whole different ball game now. This is what I'm trying to say. It might be dubbed as Gen 3 Evo and it's just an evolution of the Gen 3. It is so much more than that. It's still got the similar shape, but actually even the new body kit, the new aerodynamics in the car, it looks more aggressive. It looks, it's going to sound stupid, it looks more like a race car. And we saw with the front wings as well. Even the front wings can actually take a bit of contact now, which is a big thing as well.
Yeah.
But the problem is though, the more FE goes towards looking like a conventional race car and having those kind of speeds now, where we're kind of close to F2, Gen 4 will be faster than it. At a circuit like London, which is so short, so tight as well in most places, it's just going to be single file, and that's. I really hope I'm wrong, because London is one of the best events. But having now seen, like I said, the Gen 3 Evo in person, obviously in Madrid, but also now when they've all been gunning for it in a race, and in particular over one lap, I can see why there does seem to be this kind of rush almost, or this urge to find somewhere else.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think we can have, fingers crossed, we can. Well, it looks like London might be on the calendar for next season.
London will be on the calendar at the end of Gen 3 Evo, but I don't see it. It won't be on there for Gen 4.
But Gen 4, the best way I can put it is, imagine a Formula 2 car doing the London circuit, because these cars the Gen 3 Evo is actually longer than the Gen 3 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good point, well made, Nick. I think we're out of time.
We've had you on for too long, Nick. So
we love you.
Yeah.
I know. I think we got. I think we had a quite good discussion though there.
It was good. Good little debate.
Good little debate. And I love it. I love it.
Actually, before you disappear, because it is the first time that we've had you on since it happened. Huge congrats on
I was going to say the same.
Getting married as well.
Oh, thank you.
How was it?
Thank you.
Married man.
Good. Yeah. Time flies. Time flies very fast. No, it's amazing. It was a special day, and married man. But I can still be yours, Pico.
Yes, darling.
Always will be. Always will be. Well, fingers crossed though. Fingers crossed. I might be with you in Miami if it all goes to plan. And then I can hopefully that'll be the first time I see the cars.
So people are going clubbing then.
Yeah, people are going clubbing. Although I was like, my sister wants to tag along now because it's Miami. I was like, well. Come if you want. I'm going to Formula E for 2 days, so you got to deal with that.
Don't worry. Once I had to blag my sister out of coming on, she didn't realise I was going on a date. I'm going to this thing. He's like, oh, can I come as well? No, you really cannot.
You cannot come. My sister will blag us. I've not had an emotion ticket in 10 years. My sister will probably turn up and find out a way to get one within like 5 minutes, probably. Anyway, Nick, thank you so much. Hopefully, get some rest. Get some deserved rest. And
thank you. I'm off to bed.
And we'll speak to you soon.
Sweet dreams.
See you later, guys. Oh,
bye.
See you later, guys. Bye.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to rattle off as many calls now as possible.
Yeah.
I'm just going to message Ed, actually, because I want to bring Tino in, who is a first-time caller. And also we've got Jack Smith at... he's the one that is live currently in the Discord, so I'm just going to say, can you tell Tino that we would like to speak to you? So while we did that, I'm going to bring in Louis, who is muted. Hello, Lou. How are you? You're on the FE bar. What would you like to talk about? Hello. Good to hear from you again.
Yes. Good evening.
What would you like to talk about?
Kiro?
Let's talk about Kiro. I want to talk about Kiro.
Yeah.
I knew we'd get a little Kiro discussion from you.
Yeah.
How did you find it went? Obviously, Dan Tickton picked up points. It wasn't as spectacular as we thought it would be, like Dan Tickton making the duels, but more competitive than they were last season.
Just race one, Joe.
I know. But this was their time. This was their time that you said, right? That this was their time to capitalize, and they didn't really capitalize. But as a Kiro fan, how did you think they did, Lou?
I agree with you. Dan himself said it was not optimal yet. Also, with listening to the radio, they're still figuring things out, so they're still learning. So that's positive for maybe the next weekends, that there's a little bit more in it. I think for how much bad luck there also was with like the timing of the red flag and losing like a lot of attack mode time. I think it's a decent result.
Points is always good. Points on the board.
So it was a decent result, and they were also like talking on the radio about the strategy they had, and they had some doubts during the race about it because they were very conservative, because they had like 1.5% more energy left during the race. So they took a bit of the pace out in the beginning. Lost quite some positions with that, so that's something they're gonna look at. So I think it's for the short period of time they had to prepare everything and get the team ready. It's a very good result.
This is something actually I wanted to talk to you about, and I'm glad that you've come on the show, because I wanted to try and squeeze this in, because obviously Sergio Sette Camara has become the Nissan reserve driver, and he did an interview with Autosport. I don't know if you've seen it, where he talked about how he found out about him not having the drive for this season. I wanted to get your thoughts on that. And for those people who haven't read the article, a brief synopsis of it is effectively he was basically kept in the dark until the last minute. And basically he doesn't believe that, and he always knew that the Porsche powertrain was going to happen, and he was going to leave the team if this Porsche powertrain deal didn't happen, because they didn't want to muck about the back of the field with a crap car anymore, effectively. So he was either going to leave or they get the Porsche powertrain. But then obviously they talked about the Porsche powertrain and a Porsche driver coming in, and then they're saying that David Beckman has got the drive, and this is obviously Kiro's line, on pure performance. And Sergio Sette Camara has basically gone, well, that's can't be right, in a sense, and basically I think he's kind of lost that seat on politics in how that Porsche powertrain deal's come about. And from that interview, is that the gist that you get? Do you think something different?
I think you're pretty much on point with it, to be honest. I don't think anyone would take Beckman over Sette Camara if they have a full free choice.
Yeah.
In my honest opinion. I don't really get why they try to say, it's totally our own decision, because it would be logical, and it's not weird if Porsche had to say a little bit in it. And also there are also things that stand for Beckman, because he is a test driver for them. He knows all the systems. He has 2 years of experience with this package. that's very valuable if you have very little time to prepare the team and to get up and running. So there are valid reasons for it, but yeah, there's definitely some politics in it, and I really do not understand why they leave it so late, because they must have known sooner than that, I think, and that's a little bit disappointing, to be honest. But yeah,
The one thing, and
it is what it
I
is.
don't know if you saw it too, Pico, that surprised me from the article is even after test, it seemed like from what he was saying that even after testing, he still didn't know if he was getting a seat or not. There was still a potential possibility even after testing, according to the way that he phrased it, that he still didn't know if he was going to be driving that car or not, if David Beckman did a test. We all thought that, David Beckman's done a test, it's pretty standard. But what Sergio Seti Kamara's come out and pretty much said is, well, the way he's phrased it, I don't know if I think I'm reading between the lines here. It's just I get the assumption that even after testing, that's why it took so long to announce them as the drivers, is that there was still a chance of him being in the seat.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, the Kiro saga has definitely been a weird one over the course of the off season, and it would have been interesting to put in Sergio for Sao Paulo, considering he hadn't driven the car before, and so yeah, for most people it seemed pretty straight on that it made sense that that those two would be the two driving, considering that they were the two that tested. But yeah, the thing is, like, it's a funny world, this motor racing business, and we've seen, like, across the board contracts can be ripped up with 2 seconds notice and redone, and so yeah, it's definitely an interesting one.
Indeed. Any final thoughts on that, Lou?
Well, he's now at Nissan, and Nissan did that to Fenestra, so...
Yeah. Well, go swings and roundabouts, hey, swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put something in either Norman or Ollie's drink.
Oh, let's not do that. Let's not do that.
Get Sergio drive.
But on the more positive side,
I love Norman, and Ollie's great too. So,
on a more positive side.
Yeah, on a more positive side, they got Cupra on board, so that's really good news for them. Multi-years of that.
Yep.
Was not expecting that. That was actually the real surprise of the week.
Yeah, that was a good sponsorship deal for them, and interesting that Cupra still staying a part of it. Obviously, not part of it anymore with the App Cupra side, but obviously still an interest in wanting to be part of Formula E in one shape or form.
Yeah, so that was really good, and really like the new energy in the team, and also listening to the radio. It was just really positive and uplifting almost. I don't know. I think then, and don't think I'm actually exaggerating here. I think he said like 20 times thank you over the radio during the course of the race, and he gave a whole speech at the end of the race.
Was that Beckman or Dan?
Dan. I was listening to his radio, and it was just really positive, looking forward, and still being critical at the points that need improvement, but in a positive way.
It's miles better than where it was for him last season. So
yeah.
So I think they're moving. Really they're moving in the right direction, but the question is how long will they last until with that powertrain? Because obviously they've got that for 2 years, which will be a challenge in itself.
Is it for? I think it was only for 1 year. To be honest,
it might be. Because it's always this 2 years homologated cycle. So therefore, if it's in now, then you're assuming it's gonna this hard. I don't expect there won't be a new Porsche powertrain next season unless there's a rule that I'm misunderstanding or misinterpreting here. And that might be something I just look into. But I have a feeling that they've homologated that Porsche hardware. Therefore, can't. That's what I expect. Unless for what, because if they do, if Porsche are strong, then Kiro next season could be one of the front runners with Andretti again, and so
they could get the new version.
If that could happen, but then I don't know if teams might say that's fair, and also customer teams might not say that's fair. Say if you're a customer of you started with this and we're supposed to have this, but you've given them this, therefore They should have had that last season, you could argue. But anyway, a bit more politics to get into. But Lou, thank you so much for waiting, and thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Right, let's try and get Tino on, first time caller. Tino? I've brought you
Hello.
in. Hello. Welcome to the FE bar. How are you?
Yeah, a bit iffy, but overall I'm doing okay.
Good. I'm glad that you're doing okay. What would you like to talk about?
Wait, aren't we here to talk about the E3?
We are here to talk about E3. So what would you like to talk about? Yeah, I didn't mean. I want to know what socks you're
I
wearing
was
right now.
confused. Sorry.
We didn't know what
I woke up from a nap 2 hours ago. I'm sorry.
Yeah, my perfect Sunday. The ice cream I like the best. My favourite football team is this. We drew 2-2 on the weekend. No, we want to talk about E3. Go on.
Yeah. So I watched half of the E3 until the red flag, but by then I was super tired and needed a nap. But 2 minutes after, I get told that Verline just flew into the wall for no reason at all.
Well, there wasn't no reason at all. He did collide into Cassidy, so there was a crash. He didn't just flip.
I know. I'm just saying it for context.
Yes.
For context purposes. But bro, I closed my eyes for 2 seconds, and then right as I wake up because I hear commentators going insane, and there's a Porsche on top of its wheels, not of its wheels, upside down.
You can't fall asleep with Formula E. You can't do it. There's entertainment after every second. It's not Formula 1. You can't just snooze through a race. You can't do that, Formula E.
You can't do that in Formula E. You can't do that in SBK. You can't do that anywhere that isn't Formula 1. You fall asleep for like 0.01 nanoseconds and something happens.
Boom. Yeah, that's Formula E for you.
To be fair, I had the same thing where I ran down to go get my pizza, and I came back up and I saw a Porsche upside down as well. So I'm very much.
And you're like.
You're getting a pizza. Tino's waking up from a sleep. Who is actually watching this Formula E race?
If you watch on ITV, you saw an ad break about.
I was watching it from, I believe channel Canale 20, which is like an Italian channel for Mediaset, which is how do I say that? I say that without sounding stupid. Transmits the races live, but doesn't transmit qualifying.
Okay, so you get to watch the races live, so that's the most important thing.
I mean,
it has been like that since 2017, I believe.
Yeah,
it's still good though.
It's not bad.
What did you make of the race? What did you make of the race in terms of?
Just bonkers.
Yeah, that's Formula E for you. What did you make of the? Everyone's talking about the attack mode today. What did you make? Is it too powerful? Or is it just right? Is it fun enough, or is it too powerful?
Yeah, it's a bit too dependent on the attack mode, because I saw I don't remember who, or either Buemi or one of the Jaguars, just ascended with an incredible speed in just a few laps, just because they had the 4-wheel drive and the attack mode.
Yeah,
I think all-wheel drive should be put. Or either right from the get-go, or I don't know, make less power, because if there's too much power difference, then it's easy to just get up there whilst not being the fastest in general, and just hold up the entire field. That's one of my fears of attack mode.
Yeah, 100%.
At least lately.
100%. Tino, thank you so much, though. We're running out of time. We're trying to squeeze so many people in before we've got another guest on in about 8 minutes'
no
time.
problem.
But thank you so much for coming on, and appreciate it. And hopefully we'll hear from you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
No problems. Right, let's get Natalie on. Natalie, how are you? Welcome to the FE bar.
Have you come down from the ceiling yet?
No, I haven't, honestly.
Where do you want to start?
I just want to echo Nick and say thank God for the Halo, because I'm very good friends with Fab Roussel, Andre. He was Andre's race engine, and Pascal's race engine. And I basically said to him last night, without the halo, Zendaya could possibly not have a father right now. So that could have had a totally different outcome.
Yeah.
No, true.
I mean, like, if you look at F1, without the halo, we would have 5 deaths in the last few years, which would have been awful, including Lewis Hamilton. So yeah, honestly, thank God for the halo. And
I was talking to one of my friends this morning, and I said, "Yeah, I'll admit I was skeptical at first, but seeing it save at least 3 lives in the past 3 and a bit seasons, I can't imagine motorsport without it now."
Oh no, I
really
think we've all gotten used to it, and I think we all understand the goodness that it's done.
I remember the moment I got used to it, and it was the 4th race of the 2018 season. So it was like the 4th race, and it took me about 20 laps for me to realise that there was halos there. I'd completely forgotten that it was part of the regs.
Yeah.
No, it was good. What did you make of the race though itself?
So obviously we've had Pascal's incident, Alex Lynn in 2021, Nelson Piquet Jr. in 2019, and obviously Rome last year.
Yeah.
4 incidents in the past 5 seasons, which without the halo there could have been some very, very serious consequences.
No, for sure.
100%.
So what did you make of the race itself?
Where to start, honestly?
Yeah, good luck with
obviously.
Yeah.
Robin not starting the race made me very sad.
We haven't even spoken about that for like an hour and 40 minutes.
Haven't.
Thank you for bringing that up. I had forgotten that happened.
You're very right. It was a bit of an odd one. I remember texting Jasmine. I was like, what is going on? Because I didn't have the volume on. I was out eating dinner and having the phone. I was like, I don't understand what's going on. Like, why did the lights break? This is a great look for Formula E. That the lights are broken. That's what I thought it was originally. But yeah, a bit of a sad one for Robin not being able to get going.
No, because I saw a yellow flag wave, and my first thought, are they going to delay it? And then the lights came on, and I was thinking, oh,
3 lights, and then they aborted the start, didn't they?
They're actually going, and then they didn't go.
It was.
It reminded me very much of Mitch Evans in Berlin in season 7, minus the crash.
Yeah.
But the car just wouldn't
go.
From the replay and the onboard, the car just switched off. Like, there was nothing on the dash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a shame. It's not what Robin needed, and I can't envision.
No.
Maybe that Jaguar powertrain isn't as strong, but yeah, it wasn't the start that they wanted. But it'd be interesting to see, because as Nick said earlier, like, I don't think we got a representation of, like, Jaguar won that race, but won it on strategy.
But they only won it with 1 car in the race.
Well, yes, effectively, yes. But they in another world, they could have easily got a 1-2 in that race if they played their cards right. But they weren't the quickest team. They weren't the quickest team. They would, even or thereabouts, they're like the 3rd quickest team, 3rd or 4th.
Yeah.
So just
in an ideal world, it could have been all 4 Jaguar power cars in the top 10, and I would have been happy. But it's racing. You can't have everything you want.
A Jag would. I'll be honest. At this point, I'm not even sure if we could see that this year. All 4 Jags in the top 10.
No.
That powertrain, I'd probably put it. I mean, I've got a huge respect for that team, and all the guys there do fantastic jobs. I'd put that powertrain sort of on a par with Mahindra, maybe just behind the Stellantis one.
I think they're about the same as the Stellantis. I think they're ahead of Mahindra.
Porsche Nissan. Porsche and Nissan are clear top 2.
I think
Jaguar.
Jaguar with DS for me.
Yeah,
maybe slightly above DS. I think they're the 3rd quickest.
Yeah, no, I think they might just be behind Stellantis.
I think they're ahead.
With DS and Maserati, but it's close.
But
it's
still too early to tell. But I think they're the third fastest. I think maybe Stellantis are fourth, which will not impress John-Eric Verne. But Natalie, we're running out of time. I've got to try and squeeze Chris on before we speak to Jack Smith from Motorsport News. So I'm going
just
to
quickly on McLaren as well. Sorry. Like Nick said earlier, and you've touched on it, had it not been for those 2 red flags, I don't think McLaren would have been in contention this weekend either. However, I'm happy with the double points and Taylor's first podium.
Yeah.
And it just shows what a driver Taylor is.
No, 100%. 100%. I get that completely. And he did a great job. Right, we're going to...
He did.
Yeah, thank you, Natalie, though, for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Alrighty.
Right, and we'll speak to you soon.
See you later.
See you later. Right, what we're going to do is then, before we speak to Jack Smith from Motorsport Week, is we're going to speak to a Jaguar fan. Now, Jaguar fan is Chris. Good stuff for your boys.
What a race.
It was one, wasn't it?
It was one hell of a race. I would say I'm glad it's back, but now we've got a nice long 5-week rest.
I know. Get Christmas out the way. Bit of a... I wish it was next week, really. I wish it didn't collide with Formula 1 so much. But
no, the FIA leading press awards thingamabob.
Yeah. Formula just should scrap, and it doesn't work. But anyway, at least we got a race, and we've got a little while. But with Christmas and New Year, the world will be busy. The race will be round here before you know it, which is quite scary.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Actually, that off season was shorter than expected.
Yep. Well, shorter. It felt like ages, but then it felt like ages, but at the same time. Yeah, you're right. It felt like ages, but at the same time, it felt so quick.
I had Madrid, but yeah.
It goes quick. What did you make of the race? Well, how do you think the season's going to do? And are you worried that we're talking here that Jaguar might not be the fastest? So could it be a rare win?
It's a good question. It's a very good question. It was a chaotic race, and obviously with the McLarens, it was one of those races where it didn't matter who had the best car, it's who got luck on the day.
Yeah. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, if we had more of a normal race, quote unquote, I mean, are we going to have a normal race, or are they going to? Are they all going to be that chaotic?
I know, I fully agree with you. I reckon some will be less chaotic than others. I do think some will be more chaotic than others, and I think maybe Sao Paulo was always going to be one of those more chaotic ones than normal.
Yeah, it normally is. Let's say and Evans is bloody good at that track, and it was very unfortunate that. Well, I say very unfortunate. It's worryingly didn't matter.
Yes,
but it's very unfortunate he couldn't participate in qualifying.
No, and that worried me because obviously, Pika, you'll know that Jaguar had a couple of issues in pre-season testing, and that seemed to carry on into. And obviously, he had the issue in FP2, and then the similar issue again in qualifying. And
then you had Robin at the start.
Yeah, so there's some issues there.
For me, it was a little bit like the last round in London last year, where because if you remember, Nick Casti had to sit out the entirety of FP3. And then stuck it on pole in the for the race, which was huge. But this was even more so. The fact that it was a recurring issue. There was an issue in P2. There was the issue in qualifying, and then to go into the race and come from last to first, phenomenal. And actually, I think the best comparison. Was the one that Ed put out was when Mansell won after he was booked on an early flight because he thought he was going to break down before the finish, and he ended up missing that flight, which all legends do apparently.
Yes.
He went on to win that one, and it's a good similarity, that one.
Yeah, no, I will admit I did come into the race thinking, okay, this might be a rough one.
But Turned out to be brilliant.
Yeah, especially when Robin didn't start, I thought, okay, this could be
curtains. Well, not curtains, but a bit more of a challenge. Even reliability-wise, you're thinking, okay, there could be an issue at some point during this race.
Yeah. I mean, how many retirements do we have in the end? That's more than both London races, I'm pretty sure.
Seven?
Seven?
No, I don't think it was 7. You had Nico Muller, Jake Hughes, Jake Dennis, that's 3. Lucas de Grassi, 4.
No, because Beckman got an NT, but he's still
Beckman went to the pits early, so it might be 5.
I thought it was 7. I thought or 8. I thought we only had like 14 finishes.
I can't remember.
Because you had the
Pascal Wehrlein. How are you forgetting Pascal Wehrlein? So maybe you're right. To be fair.
So you had Cassidy, Wehrlein. Beckman wasn't classified. Dennis, Degrassi, Hughes, Muller, Frein.
8 and 8-1 didn't start. 8, yeah. It's a lot.
It
is a lot.
So 14 classified finishers.
Yeah. Which is why I'm thinking we're not going to learn that much from this race.
Yeah, that's what I said at the beginning of the show. Like, I didn't think maybe we've learnt too much.
No, it was a chaotic race. And I think Mexico will probably be the benchmark.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Right, Chris, we've got to let you go because we've got to get Jackson from Motorsport Week. And we'll talk to you soon. Hopefully soon.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Right, so I'm going to go get Jack Smith in from Motorsport Week. Jack, how are you?
Hello. I'm
good to see you. How was Sao Paulo? Talk to me. How was Sao Paulo, my friend?
It was warm. That was the first thing to say. But absolutely fabulous. Great experience to be there. And my goodness me, what a race that was.
No, it was. We were worried about the weather, and I remember talking to you for whether we would get raised, but did that rain, how long did that rain dissipate for? Did it even come? Because obviously we managed to get away with it.
Yeah, Thursday was the day I arrived. That was when we had a very, very big thunderstorm, one of the big rainstorm, one of the biggest storms I've ever seen in my life. And it lasted pretty much all evening. And then I woke up on Friday morning, sun was out, and I thought it's going to be a nice day, and then Saturday is going to be the killer. But it just held off just fine. The storm that was about 100 miles south of Sao Paulo never moved up. And we were very lucky. So in their season, which they get a lot of rain, we got very lucky. As Mitch said to me, we hope in the weather gods are smiling on us, and they absolutely did.
I did think, like towards the end of after the multiple red flags and everything, it did seem a lot darker at the end of the race than it was.
Yeah.
Were the clouds sort of coming in? Did you think that? Oh, we might have something coming up. Or...
I did worry, but it didn't look quite as dark as that actually whilst you were there. The thing about Brazil is even when it's quite cloudy, the UV light makes it very bright outside. Yes. But there was never really a big threat of rain coming. It was quite difficult to see from the media centre because it's not really anywhere that close to the track, so you can't really see out of a window. But I wasn't particularly worried that it was going to come, and I think that even if it had, they'd have been able to have finished the race anyway.
Yeah. What did from talking to the drivers, like what did they say? Well, let's talk about attack mode because obviously that's kind of what. How did they find that? Like, how did they use that? How do you think? Because I made the comparison a little bit earlier that it was they kind of used attack mode as if it was last season where people were using it early and at different points. And I have a feeling when people realise how powerful it actually was in that race that we might try and see people go for like that late strategy or an optimal lap where people think, right, this is the time to take it. And then we might just see like 8-9 cars go into attack mode at the same time because they don't want to A, lose position or B, be caught out.
Yeah, I think that given that it was the first proper race conditions we've seen with it being used, some drivers opted to do it in the way that we've experienced in the last year or so. I think it was Mitch that was really the one that made the best use of it, absolutely carving his way through. And I think you're right. I think when we get to Mexico, we'll probably see slightly different use of attack mode, just because we've seen how powerful the all-wheel drive is.
Yeah, talk to me about Mitch Evans though. Like, how impressed were you coming from? You see it on YouTube, the last of first challenge. He's gone and done it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't doubt Mitch at all. He's one of the top drivers, and I spoke to him on Friday, and whilst I didn't expect him to still be on a downer about London, it's a very difficult thing to get over. But his demeanour was incredibly laid back. He was incredibly chirpy, and even when I caught sight of him on the grid, whilst he was walking towards his car at the very back, I just thought, I think he might have a good day today. He didn't expect to get anything more than like a top 10 finish, but we know what the Jag boys are like from last season, with Nick particularly, what they can do from that far back. So you can't be entirely surprised that, if he would have got a good result, but for him to go and win it was quite special. We know he benefited from the penalties that people in front of him had, because I think Ollie would have been on for the win if he hadn't. But you can't take anything away from Mitch. That was a masterclass.
Yeah, and in terms of the Nissan, we spoke to Nick earlier, but in terms of, he wasn't 100% sure. I don't know if you managed to speak to any of the Nissan boys after the race. What did they say might have the issue have been from, with sort of hypothesizing, that's the correct word to use, that it may be from the starts, because obviously Bird, Nato and Bernard obviously got theirs from on lap 0, so therefore Barnard, sorry, said it wrong. First
yes.
First
c'est le Bernard.
In terms of, for Barnard, obviously it happened before the start of the race, or in that initial getaway. So any sort of news on that, anything that you sort of found out?
No, I think the only vague thing that's been given away was it was some sort of system issue, whatever exactly that was. But it was very interesting. It seemed to affect the Nissan powertrain on all 4 of its cars.
Yeah.
And I think that the only good thing that Nissan, and particularly Ollie, can come away with is that his pre-race anxiety of exactly where they were going to be.
Yeah.
Is, you can't base everything off of first race. Teams make changes, things improve, but it looks as if that Nissan are very much in the mix. So as long as they can sort those issues out, Ollie is most definitely a title contender.
Oh, I think so too. Like, that car didn't look like last season that it should have been anywhere near a title challenge, and he got it close to being in a title challenge. And I called him the unluckiest driver because obviously he was ill. The things that happened in Mazzano. And he could have won it, and it didn't go his way. Go on.
The thing is with Ollie is he gets like a duck to water very, very quickly with like a lot of things. He missed half a season of season 9 was when he left Mahindra, and so he did maybe 1 peloton race before jumping into it last year, and he got the hang of it very quickly. And I think he's got the hang of like this new, slightly different style of racing very quickly. So it does not surprise me that we're seeing Ollie get used to this like very, very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, Tommaso said about, he didn't think it was a risk bringing him back into the team for season 10, but even he was slightly taken aback at how quickly he adapted and hit the ground running, because he was a regular podium finisher by Diriyah last season. A couple of dodgy first races of the season, and then he was firmly in it. And that Nissan was good, but I don't think it's anywhere near as good as this one might be. So it's hard to predict, and you're a brave man to put a bet on anyone, but he's going to be in the mix, I'm sure, as long as the progression of that car continues along with every other team.
Yeah, I don't know if you got any words on some of the new teams, so maybe like Lola, Yamaha, Apt. Obviously, difficult day, the Gracie coming to an end, and obviously Zane Maloney also had a drive-through in that race, so I don't know if you got any words on Lola or Kiro and how their races went.
Well, I've got a regular feature from this season, Paddock Ramble. So it's a bit of like a notebook style. You'll get a little bit of what that will come out tomorrow. You'll get a little bit of what some people had to say. But Lola, yeah, they are very much on. They're on their uppers. I mean, Degrassi is incredibly impressed with how well Lola have actually been able to sort a Gen 3 Evo car, given that it was only April this year they first took delivery of one and have been able to adapt things since then. So effectively, they're a couple of years behind everybody else. And that's quite impressive, given that Maloney was running in the mid points at one point in that race. He was incredibly enthusiastic after the race. He hung about in the media pen. I think he was the last to leave, and he said to me that he felt that if the red flags hadn't happened and those things had gone his way, that he would have definitely scored points. So I think he's very much feels like he's adjusted to Formula E already and he's fitted in. So I think you'll see a fair bit from him and from Lola in the right sort of race conditions. Kiro, they've kept their powder dry for all of the close season, all of pre-season testing. They were very, very quiet and tried to keep themselves under the radar. And Pictum seemed very introverted on Friday. Seemed a lot different on Saturday. I think we've finally seen that there is a car potentially underneath him that's going to propel him into regular points finishes, and I think Beckman will probably be the same.
Yeah, one of those was kind of, let's see what happens, how much they would capitalise on that old powertrain, while everyone, Jaguar was still having those issues with Robin and so forth. I don't know if you managed to dig into that and find out what happened there, but there was obviously a couple of teething problems, and they didn't fully capitalise, but they scored points. But let's circle back to Robin Fryans quickly before we finish. Any issues on that? Did any word on that? What happened there?
Not entirely sure, because I think it was something to do with the rear brakes, although it seemed to completely take his car out of whack altogether. If you looked on the replay on the start line, there was absolutely nothing showing on his dash, on his steering wheel. So there was a system failure of some description, and it actually coincidentally went in conjunction with something that Buemi said to me, that one of the big worries he's got about the all-wheel drive, if someone doesn't get away or gets away slowly and the car behind does get away quickly, there is very little time to react and you could see some start line accidents. But I think that as long as you say, as long as they're going to sort those problems out, I think Envision could be up there. They seem more confident about having a more consistent season this year than they did in season 10.
Perfect, Jack. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Having you on.
Question.
Go on.
Have you had more sleep than Nick Golding?
I slept for about 7 hours on the flight back, so I didn't do too badly.
Yes, you have slept a lot more than Nick Golding.
Nick Golding said he didn't sleep on the plane. Yeah. Turbulence was the issue.
Turbulence wasn't too bad for me, actually. It wasn't too bad. It was a bit tricky coming on the way over, but on the way back, my sort of long-lasting memory of the flight home was walking through business class to my seat and seeing Tictum sat in business in his Kiro shirt, daintily sipping on his little glass of wine.
Nice. Although it was quite funny, because when I flew back from Berlin, like literally Berlin, everyone was on the same flight. I had Jeff wasn't even on business. No. He was in economy. Yeah. The only people that were in business was Jermaine Genus and Karun Chandok.
For the European races, everyone
and
does
Sandbird.
EasyJet. Everyone does EasyJet for the European races.
No, they were on British Airways. I was on British Airways, so I was BA. No, Sandbird was on my flight. Sandbird was in business. Taylor was in economy. Dan Ticton was in economy. Jeff Dodds was in economy. Then obviously you had all their engineers and teams and people that were in economy. The only personnel that I knew that was in. It was Sandbird. Sandbird was front row, and Karun Chandok was also, and Jermaine Genus were in. But Nikki Shields, all of that. Nikki Shields was on my flight. She was economy. It's amazing, really, what the difference is in the hierarchy.
Yeah,
and Jay Dennis was more than likely waiting in departures because he'd been cancelled.
Yeah.
No, when I did so when I came back from Valencia, I want to say this was 2 years ago. I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna. I'm sorry.
Oh my god! Terrible.
Done it again.
I
There
need
we
a
go.
dump button. I need a
Good luck,
dump button.
everyone. Yeah. I said, let's go for front seats, and so I sat in the front seat with so I had Jake Dennis, Phil Charles, me, spare seat, Sylvain Philippe, Jev.
Nice.
That was the front row of the thing. Well, and I had like people like Roland and Tictum go past to sit like, and I was like there like I just booked this, and like everyone else has had to sit with not having too much legroom.
Nice.
Anyways, it's been great being on my final FE bar.
Yep.
I've drawn twice now on this show, so I am fired.
Terrible from you. Anyway, Jack, we'll let you go and get some rest and enjoy Christmas, and hopefully we'll be in touch. Obviously, I think we will be in touch before Christmas and the New Year. But in terms of on the show, it won't be on the show again. Oh, wait. The next show, well, the next show is unconfirmed, but the next FE bar for a race will definitely be.
I'm not
be
on
Mexico.
about that. Jack, am I seeing you Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic, awesome.
Nice.
Yes.
I forgot that was even happening, but anyway, that's an off-topic thing that we don't need to get onto on this show. So enough said about that. But thank you very much, Jack. We'll talk to you soon.
No, thank you. Have a lovely Christmas, guys.
And you.
See you later, mate.
Bye.
Bye.
Right, you can berate me now.
Terrible from you. Absolutely terrible. No, there's only one. Do the teams pay the tickets? More than likely, yes. For the drivers, I don't think the drivers pay. There'll be the teams that pay for the flights, and Formula E will obviously pay for the Formula E personnel. But it's also interesting to see that, Jermaine Gina's Corinne Chandler business, Nicky Shields, Jeff Dodds not business. I did joke to Jeff. I was like, "Shouldn't you be over there, mate?" He said, "No, I should be with the people." He said, "I need to be with the people."
Jeff Dodds is very much a man of the people.
Yeah, very much a man of the people, and I was like, "Fair play, dude."
And we love him.
But it was nice.
He'll come back eventually on this.
Oh yeah, he will. I don't know. I need to
in this life or the next.
He will come on, and I do think he enjoys it. But anyway, I need to do this more during the show. But !Discord if you're new round here and you haven't come into the Discord. It's a great community that we got in there. Loads of Formula E fans, and also we're getting there with the subscribers. Obviously the aim is 1,000. We do need to get to 1,000. We'd love to get to 1,000, so please tell your mum, your nan, your gran, your dog, your cat to subscribe to the channel. We're getting there. 884 I think it was by the time we started this. I don't know if it's gone up or down. Probably down, but
Ice War, so that's 100 out.
Yeah, so terrible. So but we're getting there slowly.
Yeah, I'm still on 884.
But 884 is we're slowly going up, so that's still good. Like, we had a subscriber 6 hours ago, Streamlabs is telling me, so someone getting ready for the show subscribing, so through the advertisement. So, but again, we can't do this show without you. Like, we can't, it's hard. We need you, right? We need you to come onto the show and talk to us, otherwise we can't do it. So we can't thank you enough. So keep spreading the love. We're hoping to do something, but I don't think there'll be an FE bar now till maybe after Christmas, or it might be the one in Mexico. There's things that we're trying to do, but whether they're successful or not, we don't know yet. And I'll need to plan it.
I'm doing nothing.
There are things going on, so we will try, but if not, then it will be an FE bar in Mexico. So if not, have a very, very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year if we do not see you beforehand. Thank you so much for listening to the FE bar. I've been Jack John Manor. You've been listening to the FE bar with myself and Mr. Pickering over there, and we will see you very soon. Good night.